Hello, everybody, and welcome to 2 KO episode 10. I am your host, OGalbina, joined by King L5, my co-host, with a fancy new layout that he made over there.
Oh, yes. Well, I did say in the last episode, or maybe I said it on Discord somewhere, but if Owen got 4K subs, I'd make a layout for the pod, and so here we are.
We hit it. Big number.
4K. Yep.
Yeah,
and big numbers.
And to celebrate the layout, we have a pretty cool guest. We have Mr. Pocket Monster MD, the doctor himself,
Yo.
Joey. How you doing today, man?
4K, bro. I'm doing well. I'm drafting Pokemon I enjoy, and also drafting Pokemon that I want to win with on a different one, and we're doing all right. Thank you for having me, bro.
Yep.
There you go. Yeah, we're excited.
A lot,
yeah.
so
It'll be a good one.
Here.
We have a ton of things to go over today. The first of which will actually kind of give you the floor for a second, depending on what you want to reveal, how much you want to reveal. You've talked about it a lot on stream, but I don't know if you've officially announced it yet. But we know that SPL is on the horizon, VGC next season. Do you want to talk a little bit about that? And how you feel about that?
I'll tell you all about it. So the only reason we're doing, well, not the only reason. There's two reasons why we're doing SPL VGC. One, National Dex has not been released yet, and honestly, I don't even think they're going to release it at all. I think they're just dangling over us as just to keep us following them on Twitter, and actually never released anything. Personally, I could be wrong, and I'd be very very happy to be wrong.
I've been seeing Yasuno post the fat Pikachu animations, which they're fire, but I'm like, man, I want to see Mega Gallade. Get back to it.
I wish I could battle with them, man. I really wish I could do that, but secondly, my buddy Tony Flagon, long time uploader, but obviously stopped. But a long time ago, he was around with Gen 4 with me, and we basically we've connected for a while again. And he's been showing me replays of his VGC draft league because he's helped me with stuff in my singles ones. And he showed me a replay of Substrika dominating in Ubers stuff. It's regulation whatever where they have the Ubers and the one mon. So he showed me Substrika, which was 1 point, I think a 1 point mon he had, or a 2 point mon that was keeping up with Kyogre, Tornadus, things like that, and it actually got 2-3 kills and was actually supporting the team. So I was all right, we'll do VGC next league. Literally after that I hit up SK. I'm yo, they don't have National Dex, let's just do VGC. So I was all right, let's do VGC. VGC is also super popular right now, and it'll give me something new as well. It's also, we've been back to draft now 2 years now. Yeah. So it gives something new to enjoy, and I'm very excited. We got a lot of new people in SPL. I think we only brought back 6 people that actually have played in SPL before. So 14 new SPL coaches, and half of them are VGC players. So it's gonna be a really good time. I'm very excited to try it out. And hopefully beat some of them. That's what I want to do.
It's a different level. It's a different level of swagger to pull up to VGC and beat the doubles guys, because there's some really solid doubles players in the leagues. I think people will be really excited to see the roster when it gets announced here soon. So definitely really fun.
Draft is draft, as I always say.
Oh yeah, 100%.
This ain't no VGC. This is draft. So I'm very excited. They ain't gonna know what I do when I pull up that calculator and know what the hell I'm doing in between turns.
Calc is short for calculator.
Just in case anybody in chat didn't know. There you go. Now, obviously, we have SPL starting, which is going to be very exciting. A ton of fun. Like you said, not only have we been playing Gen 9 draft, which I still enjoyed a lot, but it's good to kind of split these things up because we also probably have another year plus on the format, or on this game in particular, right? Unless ZA super surprises us. I don't know. Maybe I'm very pessimistic. I don't think there's going to be really any online capabilities for it. So that means, it's a good way to kind of split the time up and not hate SV draft by the end of it because we're playing it so much, right? So that's pretty cool.
I think there's a lot you could actually do as well. I think you could do almost any ability draft very easily right now because of the fact that you could just use emulators for that. The same people that do the enemy fight stuff, just a simple emulator and you battle.
Oh yeah.
I've already done several Wi-Fi battles over my emulator with people flawlessly. And it looks really good. All you need is a decent computer. So there's always that as an option as well, which I think would be very, very fun to try. But we'll see what ends up coming out at some point. Hopefully this year. Maybe we'll get an announcement, but I'm sure it'll just be ZA, and then we have to wait till next year. I'm really hoping though. I'm really hoping.
Oh yeah, fingers crossed for sure. Now speaking of regular SV draft, we also do have BBR starting up. I will be running this. Dira hand over the keys to me, so I'll be commissioning this league. I did want to kind of show it off, shout it out. We just finished drafting recently, and as you guys can see there at the bottom, we hit 5 whole likes
Bottom right. Who's that?
Oh man, 5 whole likes on L5 stream, and he said he'd do it, man. He's a man of the people. He set a lofty goal and he hit it. But yeah, we have your.
Where I had a running bit where like if we get 5 likes on the stream, I'll join a Wi-Fi league. And then I waited a few hours. If we get 20 likes, I'll join. I got up to 50, and I was like, if we get 50 likes, we got 50. So.
Hey, man, deserved. Go ahead and show them what you got on Wi-Fi. Either win it or go funny. 0-10.
I do want to mention.
I would kill myself.
I think this is very funny. Jason like put all the logos on the doc for me because I'm like very, very like inept when it comes to all these things. And I just noticed it on the doc too, and I think it's very funny. I have to shout it out. He put Keegan down as the Orlando 3 and 6s, and I think that's fucking hilarious. I think that is so funny. Oh my god, that's hella funny. But yeah, it should be a fun roster. We obviously have 18 coaches. I believe our draft analysis. Oh my gosh, I should know this is the guy who's commissioning it. I believe it's going to go up on the 8th. So it'll be Saturday uploads.
So our will be the 16th will be our draft stream for SPL, and then the week after will obviously be
battles,
the uploads as well. So we're trying to be 2 weeks ahead though, because we're almost done with the drafting process. We're actually ahead, even though it doesn't feel like it. But we're
starting a little early to say yeah.
Yeah. As long as we finish before the end of this week, which I'm very confident we will, hoping and praying, because we can't do any more skips if it only gets to 2 people at the end. Then we'll be able to do grace and then hopefully be good from there and just start working on a recording. I'm very excited, dude, because it's gonna be like different, man. Because mocking is gonna be something. I can't ask the same people to mock. It's like, yo, you don't know doubles. I don't know doubles. What are we gonna do with each other here?
Yeah, you almost gotta put like a PSA out. Hey,
yeah, literally.
Who has a doubles bag? Hit me up right now. You know.
Literally. I had some VGC subscribers and some draft VGC subscribers that were like, yo, I'll do mocks with you. So I was like, oh, okay, thank you.
There you go.
How many weeks is BBR?
BBR is going to be 9 weeks as well. So our draft analysis, again, I have to look at a calendar. I think we're a little bit, or they're all uploading. I think we start a week earlier than SPL, I want to say. Yep. So we're going to be draft stream on the 8th. Draft analysis will go up after that. And because it's singles and obviously a lot more draft people, it's just going to be weekly from there. So we're on a 1 week delay. And it'll be 9 weeks, and crown a new champion here in the BBR, which would be cool. We obviously just finished our D League too, so I should shout out A12. A12 and Hunky made finals there. We always promote the winner of the D League, but we end up calling up both finalists because they played really well. So it'll be really exciting to see them in the big leagues, and we have a lot of new coaches this time. So I think this season will be a lot of fun. Some coaches have some funny theme teams and things like that too. Viz drafted a very, very funny team for the season of the BBR. Obviously, no spoilers, but it'll be a good time. I'm sure I'll pilot it well.
Wait, so you guys don't have species clause, right? Either?
No.
Did we?
Oh no, we do. He didn't break it with his draft.
Wait, no, you have species clauses in. You can't get both Rotoms.
Yes.
It's like the Pokedex number one.
Mm-hmm. Why are got species clause? What's the point of that?
I don't know. He's the one who runs it. Ask him.
Because it's always been like that. I'll be honest with you. Same reason we used to play at level 50.
No, every league you've been with me or helped me in has never had species clause, bro.
Really?
Got rid of it in every league.
Hey,
y'all didn't have. We always give people the option to have. Yeah, Slow King plus Slow King.
Slow King core. I mean, there's a couple cores that would be good, yeah. I guess it's just never something that's like super come up in practice. Nobody's been like, oh shit, I really needed the Heat Mo core. I just want to give somebody
the option because I'm waiting for somebody to draft all 5 Rotoms. That's literally what I'm waiting for.
Yeah.
Especially in the worst gen for Rotom like ever in draft.
I would say maybe like Tera Rotom Fan has been pretty decent.
Yeah, it's like a low tier Tera. Oh, for sure. Like the more offensive, application of it and things like that. Man, I hated Rotom Heat this season of the BBL. That guy sucked. He was like, I think the only 2 times I brought Rotom Heat, it was like screens hyper offense because it was my best screens guy, and then otherwise it was like impossible. Speaking of BBL though, we do also have finals revealed for that. Obviously, new leagues are starting, other ones are ending. I'll give you guys a couple seconds. If you haven't watched, BBL finals, go ahead and skip forward. There'll be a timestamp as well. But 3, 2, 1, finals will be myself versus John Jr. A rematch from regular season, which I'm not super excited about. I know I helped Shuckle because one, we were mocking all season. But also, I really didn't want to play John again because he whooped my ass the first time we played.
Oh, dude, this is literally best case scenario for you. When you win, it's harder because you already did something that made you win.
Yeah, I guess it's true.
It's harder for John.
You know what you did wrong. Yeah. In that sense, for sure, a little bit of a tricky matchup, but I think the team that we ended up coming up for this was actually a really, really cool team. We did a ton of grinding for this throughout the week. In fact, we're actually going to have a video up on L5's channel. It'll go same time as mine. It's like fucking 3 hours of us building the initial team. Huh?
It's like 2.5 hours, including like the initial brainstorm, like exactly how we came to this team that's in finals. Like all the details, everything is pretty much there. We didn't, go over every single mock because you did like 25 mocks.
25, yeah.
We went over like 3 or 4 mocks.
Did you study the mocks at least?
Oh yeah, we in the video we went over, like we didn't watch every single mock in the video, but we went over very important ones, things that we were struggling with.
Like 3 or 4 mocks that like showcase exactly what we were talking about, why we made some changes to the team over the course of the week, and then how we come to a final 6,
And then afterwards,
and then, of course, we the game review.
Yeah, we reviewed the game afterwards and things like that. So it's
awesome. What was good, what went a little bit wrong, what could have been better.
I'm a huge draft league dork. Obviously, like this is like all I do in my free. I work, go to sleep, work out, go to school, and play draft. So I'm a big dork with this stuff. I think it's really interesting, but I also think like for those of you who might be getting into draft or are more interested in like these more advanced team concepts, I think it's a really, really good resource too for team building and seeing how like someone like L5, who's obviously a very, very accomplished player in draft, kind of approaches these and kind of goes throughout the week and one of these matchups. So it's a pretty cool video. Yeah. That'll go up alongside finals. Watch the finals battle first before you get to the review, but go watch L5's video obviously as you go throughout there. But
I do have a little bit of a series there of like coaching people throughout their matchups. But for DBL finals, we had to do an extra long version of that.
Oh yeah, for sure.
You were working with Owen, so I understand. It's a little bit more work to be put in.
Yeah, my duck.
I need some help. He saw me get my ass kicked week 1 by that Kieran White, and he said, "Hey, let me help you out, buddy."
Especially someone as prestigious as John Jr., aka always loses in finals.
Oh man,
you want to make sure that you be.
I can't be the first guy to lose to him this gen in finals.
You gotta keep it up. John actually. The matchup itself was really interesting because obviously, I helped you mock. I was probably the last few mocks you had besides
You were, and then I made L5 mock you with your team because like, I'm asked you a couple times in it, and I was like, hold on.
That's what I was basically like. I wasn't gonna say it like that because I wasn't. I don't know what you showed, but I was just gonna talk a little about the matchup because I actually I think it's slightly in favor of John Jr., but I think he has to play it. I think he has to play the lines well, and I also think he has to like what I brought versus you was focus Ashley to Azelf, dual screens, and then just a bunch of good mons, right? That's the way I see this, right? Gold with a weakness posse because you can never kill it in one, so it kills back. So things like that, and then just offensive boots Ho-Oh because under screens you don't need to be defensive, right? Clock will only kill you. Power jump doesn't kill you at all, and I have no HP investment.
Even if it's offensive Ho-Oh, I mean, like you need a crit to kill. Like it just does nothing.
I think it's really going to come down to how the pieces are played. I think it also really, in my opinion, really comes down to if Dialga's still alive in this game versus Golden Go type of thing. Because I think Dialga is actually key because his scariest mon to you is probably Kieran Black. Like just straight up Kieran Black is disgusting. And you have options for it, right? Like starting on Ogerpon doesn't work in this case because of Icicle Spear. Fluttermane can be Scarf, but it can't come in and it can't kill under screens. Intimidate Crocodile can help too. You could even have like Intimidate Yachi. Fizdef Dialga would be really weird because I feel like you take advantage here of offensive Dialga so well in this game because it learns Power Gem and then it has like I don't know. Actually, if Dialga learned Stone Edge, maybe that was better than Power Gem as a long thing. I don't even know.
It was unless Ho-Oh because. Like a speed tiers and things like that, if he was like super fast Ho-Oh and burned me, then it's not good.
Fair. It doesn't even need to be super fast. The deal
that's a big thing too. Yeah, that's a big thing too because Ho-Oh plus Iron Boulder both force in my opinion, Crook or Dialga depending on it, especially if you don't go more defensive Mew, which I actually think defensive Mew would be a misplay. You want to make it faster than Gold in this one, in my opinion. But the matchup's interesting. I also think you could have done something cool because obviously I know what you used, but I think you could have done something a little bit aggressive with low-key Nasty Plot Rotom could have been interesting here because he can't bring in on discharge the Iron Boulder. Like I was thinking about like things that you could beat like what looked good here. So like Iron Boulder can come in and Mighty Cleave, but then it's always risking discharge or even Wisp if it doesn't know it. Kirin doesn't KO with Scale Shot, Raw, or Outrage, whatever the hell it wants to run, and it has a good speed tier of a gold. So I was thinking like that could be cool because like high key Pert is mid in my opinion. It gets up rocks and then dies. That's how I saw the matchup and stuff. And now I don't know how the game actually went. I don't know what he used, but I would always have used Grim, Boulder, top 3, and legitimately as of to get your rocks up, because I think this should be aggro. I think if you try and outlast a mon with a Quackable team, I think if you try and outlast a Quackable team, you will lose eventually.
Yeah, you will get that step off eventually.
Literally, and it will just beat you. That's I think outlasting into Quackable is never the play.
Probably like the most consistent game plan for John Jr. on his side is probably just like early game trades, like you said, the weakness policy, Goldango, stuff like that. Maybe even a choice band Boulder, something like that. Really pick up some
I played choice band ground, and rock were both really scary.
Like it's a pretty linear game plan that he can really do pretty well with. Like it's hard for you to stop.
Well, we noticed
we did our best with the build.
We noticed in testing that those balance builds were just getting rolled over, especially by the teams that we brought. Best case scenario is on Sunday that he brings like more of these passive threats that might be decent defensively as like stopgaps initially. Things like Wheezing, things like Toad School. When I'd see them in mocks, I'd kind of like rub my hands together a little bit because like sure they'll switch into X offensive threat, but something else is coming in and picking a KO and there's not much you can do about it. I think my offense is really good here, but I do agree the screen, I mean, we mentioned Kirin Black doesn't get KO'd under screens by Flutter. I mean, with very minimal bulk, it just lives non-boosting Moonblast too. That guy's really bulky, right? So a lot of his offense just naturally lives and kills mine back. So it's definitely a really finicky matchup. And again, you'll see that in the video with L5. I obviously do like my team builder's a little bit longer this week too, because I really wanted to go over everything. But I mean, obviously the L5 video is like the team building video, from literally like nothing in the team builder to 25 mocks later with the team. I think it's going to be a really cool video for, people trying to like really get into the thought process of like building for an important matchup, like especially finals, right? Nobody wants to, spend 2 months playing with the same team to lose in finals. That shit sucks.
Yeah, no, for sure. If you make it to finals, you gotta try hard. Like that's
100%. 100%.
Sure.
So that one's obviously going to be very fun. Now I'll give the floor to you, L5, in kind of talking about Draft League World Cup. I know that you guys recently just had play-ins happen for US West, so you want to talk a little bit about that and what's going on in Draft League World Cup?
In week 3 for the World Cup, my team and Canada were both locked, but we played each other for like the seeding, and we actually ended up losing that seeding match, so we have to play in the play-ins, unfortunately. We're matched up against EU West, and then there's another series, Latin America versus UK, which actually features one of the game of the week, which is going to be Addison versus Zeta, and we're going to go over that at the end of the pod. But so this was some interesting games, right? US West, EU West. We actually tied 4-4, so we're in tie breaks right now.
Oh shit! So it's not even actually. Oh, and you play. When do you play your game?
I don't know exactly when. Probably weekend.
Oh, they give you the full week for the tiebreak. Okay, I gotcha.
Yeah.
This is Smogon. Every game.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I'm running right now. No, I'm just kidding. That's fair.
So we got really unlucky in our whole series. Like I think in a fair, like even odds, we probably go 6-2, something like that. But
I will say, just to add on to that, Showdown is really buggy right now.
It is, yeah.
If you want to show the screenshot, without breaking everything, like, whoops, that is the wrong screenshot. If you want to show the screenshot of like literally Wish being bugged currently, and a lot of people, including myself, have noticed that since they've changed up the way the RNG is supposed to work, because someone figured out how to break into it. They changed it twice. Everything is bugged. So
perfect time for tie breaks, yeah?
Yeah. Literally, future site's bugged. Everything's bugged. Future site itself is also bugged too. So like it's just really weird, because I've noticed that every game. Yeah, some guy called. They didn't call me stupid, but they said not to call you stupid.
Good thing they didn't call you stupid.
Well, at least no offense, but fuck you.
But it's just interesting because like I've noticed in my Showdown lives as well, ridiculously decisive crits and not 4% crits happen sometimes, but like every other turn every other turn, like legitimately like every other turn. My live the other day and even my live today, I crit like twice in a row, and then I crit 2 turns later. It's just crazy. I think the RNG mechanics are just broken right now in Showdown, and it really sucks because, like you said, it's the freaking semis.
Play-ins, yeah.
Tie-in, yeah. I mean, shit.
Oh,
and you said in your game in particular against Slick, didn't you? Again, I could be misremembering a game you told or which one. Didn't you get pretty unlucky in that game against Slick?
I got crit by like a +6 Iron Crown, which I was able to save the position. Actually, it crit my Zarude, which was +4. I wouldn't have KO'd otherwise, and honestly, my Zarude probably won that end game because the Iron Moth I already revealed via Ditto. It doesn't have Energy Ball. I'm Tera Water.
So he can't kill you.
For my Zarude to just sweep that end game entirely. But okay, he crits that, sure. And it's like +6 defense, weakness policy, and he also has an agility up. So I'm like, okay, how do I get out of this one? I go to Klefki, I set up a Prankster Light Screen into a Prankster T-Wave, and then I'm able to revenge with my Rotom, which already revealed to be faster. Shadow Ball KO is cool. Now, my Zarude actually didn't Tera Water in that end game because I didn't want to get stored power, obviously. So I still had my Tera available, and my secondary Tera on that team was Rotom, Tera Dark. So Greninja comes in, Dark pulses me with Light Screen up, I Tera Dark, and I get flinched. Okay, a little unlucky, right? But the situation can still be saved, banking on some like sets that he has, which turns out not to be the case. But either way, then I sack my Rotom, of course, because I have to. I go to my Terrapagos last mon alive. He Dark Pulses with Battle Bun and flinches me. I'm like, man, what can I do, you know?
No, I literally just got confirmation, by the way, from a PS dev. We recently refactored how switching events work, which in turn broke some stuff. I sent this over to the other devs, and they're taking a look at it. So literally confirmation.
It is what it is, right? So we're in tie breaks, and this means that my record in World Cup is like really abysmal at this point. 1-3 at this point.
Doesn't matter as long as.
Hey, bro, that's one more than me last year.
Exactly.
That's one more than me last year. On top, baby. 0-3.
Yeah. They call him Owen because he went 0-3.
Dude, okay. I played like shit in pools. I will hold it. You know, I played like shit in pools. You get sat for playoffs. I get it. It's fine. However, I will say my one game in playoffs was me in the middle of a personal training session with a client, mid teaching him how to deadlift for the first time. I get like 12 pings like, fuck, Speeds is gone. He's not waking up. We need you to play. I'm like, all right, pass me the pace. And like on my hip. And for the people who see, and my phone, I was like, hey, extend up through the hips. I'm like, fuck. No idea what the team did at all. It was like a 2-0. That's pretty good. I'm not gonna. That was pretty good.
Anyways, so the tie break is gonna be happening this week. We got me, JCM Shadows, and 64 Squares repping US West. It should be good. Hopefully, we can make it out into the top 8 proper playoffs. Yeah,
and you didn't pull the rematch in Slick, which is nice.
Yeah.
Did you guys pull any? No, you didn't. Yeah. Okay, cool. No, and then Sammy C, he's the guy who won GG Tour, like the summer tour, right?
Yes, he won GG Tour, and then he also went undefeated until finals in DFL, which is like the tier 2.
Oh yeah, it's basically Bob for for.
And I did watch all of his games on stream one time. You can find it on my channel if you're really interested. He played a lot of Sun and Moon, and he honestly just got carried by his builds being better than his opponents. I didn't see too many like plays or anything. Like
I mean,
that's what you're supposed to do. That's what I mean.
Supposed to be. The builder wins before the game.
I know, yeah.
Well, I always say
that went super undefeated. Like
the best draft players I've watched and things like that throughout, like, you know, a ton of time watching. There's some really good draft players. It feels like you never watch them or like make many predictions.
They're not struggling either.
That's not true. That's not true. I don't think there's like a lot of players like Habada, for example, is someone who really relies on the builder, and he doesn't make too many plays, and like that's true what you're saying. But then you look at like some of the people who are doing really, really well right now, like for example, Lax, Soggy Doggy Sage, JCM Shadow. These are all players that will make doubles. They will make plays, and it really just puts a nail in the coffin.
Do you think that's just a product of SV?
Draft, though.
If you can play safely to always win, sure. But oftentimes they do just put their their foot on the.
I mean,
I wonder
if you're playing offense, right? If you're playing offense, you have to make plays. Period. Right?
Yeah.
Yes,
because
for sure.
every turn, if you're in a bad position, you can lose, and because your offense versus someone like, let's say Dylan, for instance, Dylan drafted on his last draft league, Terapagos, Raging Bull, Alamola, Gliscor. He and
You don't gotta make plays.
take a ton of stuff. He's running heavy duty boots on every single mon and wish passing, switching into Aloe on physical attackers, passing it, bringing out his Roaring Moon as well, and just wish passing and just doing that type of thing. That doesn't always require plays, right? The opponent is the one that has to try and outplay that opponent, whereas he's just trying to outlast you for the most part. And obviously that's not the same. Like that's not. Dylan's a great player.
I wonder if it's a product of like one. Just again, I know this is like a very blanket statement too, and over time I kind of disagree with like people saying like, oh, SV draft is only offense, blah blah blah. But it is obviously a more offensive metagame, like standard wise, at least from what I'm seeing. SV feels a lot more offensive, so maybe it's just obviously more people are playing offense and more people have to play more aggressively. I don't know. I don't know if it's a product of the format, a product of the players and play styles and things like that, but I guess it's definitely fair. Things have changed. At least in the past, it felt like the best players kind of, maybe make a calculated read in the sense of if I get this wrong, oh well, I'm still fine kind of play. But
there's like,
I think making decisive plays is always important, period, right? Like you attack where they can't defend. You make plays that don't force you to predict, whereas your opponent has to predict.
You try to minimize
I always give the example of SPL. I was playing RU and I had brought a Tyrantrum out and my opponent had Steelix out and they had Steelix and they had Noivern. I was like, okay, well, why did I bring out Tyrantrum, which I'm forced to either Earthquake, Sewer Power, or Head Smash, depending on my moveset. I think Close Combat might have been an option right there. Whereas I could have brought out a Pokemon like Pangoro and Knockoff was free because it hits everything. So once I recognized that, I ended up going on to be like the best record in that tour because I recognized that, okay, attack, make plays that my opponent has to think, and also don't use pursuit weak mons. That was my second thing that I learned. I only lost the 3 games I lost in that tour where when I brought 2 Bronzongs and 1 Slowking, and I was like, oh, okay, I lost my second type. So I never brought them again. Another example as well, like, because you kind of learn these, right? In an NU tour, an SCL for NU, I also got the best record in that. And I lost every 2 games because I brought Swords Dance Ninjask. It was such a broken Pokemon in NU at that format that every game plan I had to be for Swords Dance Ninjask, right? Because it's so easy to late game sweep. You go for U-turns on the steel types and you chip them away with rocks and things like that. So I kept playing towards that and that was like, I would focus in tunnel vision on that to the point where I lost 2 games and I was like, all right, forget this. I literally did not put Swords Dance on my ninjas anymore. I would even load up 3 moves. I'm so freaking serious. That way I never saw it as a win
anymore. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and that helped me win, right? So you have to realize things like that. Like the same thing in terms of draft, right? So you want to make decisive plays. You want to make things that force your opponent to predict, not you. So you want to. So I think that good builds enable that really well.
Yeah,
like,
I find that
you're gonna double on my Alamola, cool, into your electric type, but I also have a Ting-Lu. So nice job, you did it. I got regen, and then I'm wish passing. So like that's what I think too. But also obviously SV has a lot of offense too. Like we've proven time and time again the offense can do it. Look at the PPL where I had no hazard control, annihilate, BS Mon, click. We've seen it.
Oh, yeah,
well,
sure.
I think that kind of philosophy is like exactly demonstrated by Nick Numbers, Panda, who's a player who's had some really great results recently in DCL, in World Cup as well. He just runs a lot of like hard-hitting offense and makes the opponent solve a lot of problems back to back. And I find that kind of style to be really suffocating.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, 100%. I think just offense like that is just the most consistent playstyle in SV. I think there are matchups definitely where you can go like in certain team styles and things like that. But I also think like those like compact defensive cores like Ting-Lu Aloe is a great example, right? Like great defensive core. I promise I don't hate Aloe, guys.
It's not blissy. It's not easy to take advantage of. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like, that core is really good, but it feels like there's less options for those kinds of cores. Whereas in like other generations, there were a lot more fatter, like more balanced cores that like blanket checked pretty much everything. To where I felt like you could run a lot more defensive, play. I mean, when I played in like Gen 8 draft, I played like predominant like either like really really bulky offense or like damn near balanced on most of the teams I drafted, just because you could in that metagame, in my opinion.
Balance was really nice back. Like, I felt balance was like, it was easy to win with balance, right?
Oh yeah, it doesn't feel as easy, but again, there's always those matchups. Like, I didn't draft like a very bulky team in BBL this season, but the matchup, and L5 was one who pointed this out, because I was kind of like struggling with the matchup at first glance when Del made his transactions in BBL, but he's like, why don't we just run like Sableye, Quaquaval, Stall? he can't kill those two Pokemon ever. Not a very conventional fat core of Sableye, Quaquaval, and whatever third mon it was. I totally forget. Wheezing, yeah. But I mean, it was literally unkillable. So and I think that also takes a good player to be able to flex your team style and play style a little bit, because
I think going on to that too, looking at the recent BBL season, I think you had the perfect Pokemon to match up into Viz. So Viz's team was, we just talked about super overwhelming offense, right? I felt like that did really well into the build I did, and I think I could have also played better in certain parts, but I also think that was just tough because I leaned more towards the Palafin. Obviously, King was helping me. We leaned more towards into Palafin because Palafin looked good as hell into us.
I thought Palafin Rain was like really, really tough for you to deal with.
Exactly, and then he meant more towards Sticky Web, and then, but you have Kartana Water type, aka Quaquaval, which is
went on accident.
one wrong move, I see. Right?
Oh yeah.
So like I feel like you had that. It's like Magirna, with a choice scarf, right? That's how I feel it, because every time you die, it gets a boost.
It was a Pokemon. This is the first time I've used Quack. I freaking love that thing. It was really cool. Because again,
broken, bro.
I very seldom like the games that smoked. I mean, it wasn't ever the win con against Viz. It was like Insurance Button against Deoxys, because like Spike Life Orb, or Rock's Life Orb and T-Spike like was guaranteed range of Jet with like the defense investment he can afford. And it was like, okay, good there. Strong mon in general. Why not? And it was like, oh shit, I found a free step turn. And again, instead of going the hard Shaman, he didn't make that call. And then the game was just unfortunately over. Like it's that simple,
That's literally it, dude. And the thing is too, bro, I don't remember, were you boots on that Quack? You were, right?
Yes.
Okay, cool. For Webs, yeah. Because like he actually wasn't paying attention. I rewatched it. He wasn't paying attention. He said, "What is this Quackable? Is it Scarf? Is it whatever?" He didn't notice. He didn't take Stealth Rock. So like he also in that situation was obviously his fault. But in let's say he had noticed you had taken Stealth Rock, you could be some sort of resist barrier type of thing, right? Obviously, Air Slash is still probably the better play from him and everything. But like that mon, when I first drafted, I feel like it was like 14 points or something like low like that. If I see Quackable at 15 and I feel like running the same Pokemon, I'm going to keep taking Quackable. I low-key think, you know how Meowscarada's secret S, quote-unquote secret S rank, in my opinion? Or maybe
it was secret S, but now, I think it's...
Like maybe like 6 months, 6, 7, 8 months ago.
Oh yeah, for sure.
It's definitely...
You know, it's like secret S rank. I think Quackable as well is like high A. Like high A, and I don't think people see it that way. I think that mon is not only a phenomenal spinner, but just so punishing. It is so incredibly hard to punish that Pokemon. Rocky Helmet don't matter. I got knockoff. I love that mon. If I could draft, I probably would draft it again if I felt like it. I just don't.
No, it's really good.
It's so freaking good, dude. For no reason, and you're fighting Ubers, which makes it even harder. So you need a little bit more oomph first. Quackable in general. I played Uzi. Excuse me. I played Uzi. Sorry, I was looking at the draft board and had Uxie in front of me. But I played Uzi, and I just put screens, a weakness policy, he seed flared, I swept 6 months. Like, it's not, like, and that's just, like, the more, you need more for that. But this mon's just, I'm nasty. That's the mon. That and Samurott, those mons are so good.
Oh, yeah. No, definitely really, really solid. So, we'll keep moving, though. Good luck, obviously, in tie breaks. We'll talk about that in the next podcast. Really quick, on Draft League World Cup. Speaking of Samurott, that's actually one of the mons we were going to quickly mention. I forget, is it Slayer? Is that the guy's name that put this doc together for you? All five?
Slayer Holfin, I think. I'll double check to make sure. But this guy has been an absolute GOAT, compiling all the replays for World Cup. And then also providing stats on the win rates and all of them, which is really nice to see. I love looking at stats like this. Oh, yeah. It's just a fun time to me. Slayer Holfin 006. So I appreciate that a lot.
Oh, yeah. And we see some cool high win percentages. We see Ogre Cornerstone, which we've also, another mod to hype up for my BBL team. This is a Go Owens BBL team episode. That guy's so good. I absolutely love that Pokemon. I mean, I would draft that. Even talking about a mod you draft all the time. Ridiculously strong. So, I mean, there was never a matchup where it actually was bad. We didn't bring it a couple times just because it didn't fit. But every matchup, I remember L5 being like, Ogerpon's really good here. We should bring Ogerpon.
If you can fit it,
I mean,
it's absolutely do so.
Oh yeah,
sash.
Free sash, great spiker. I mean, so strong. And Ivy Cudgel, like not being contact, never missing, and being 100 with high crit.
Such a great Pokemon, just like Donphan.
Well, funny you mention. funny you mention. Let me control F Donphan.
I know, I did that on purpose. But
L5 is the biggest Donphan hater. How many turns?
So I've been doing a running bit on my streams where we see how many turns Donphan survives for. And we go for an average of 2. That's what we're rooting for. Stealth Rock can spin and die.
It almost always is.
The times that it survives longer than that is when it's just getting spin blocked by a fat ghost and it can't do anything anyways.
Donphan's role is to have your 1-out check to a broken mon, right? You keep heavy duty boots on it. You don't prioritize spinning. You prioritize. Like if
that might be the issue,
you earthquake it, you endeavor it. I mean, like, so when I was testing, that's fair. I just learned. Maybe I'm wrong about it, but this is the way I see Donphan because I hate fighting it because it's like Donphan and Ogerpon Cornerstone are the same Pokemon to me. Why? Like, literally, why? It's sturdy. It's sturdy. It's that. I have to break sturdy. Ogerpon's easier to break sturdy than this Donphan because Donphan can run boots. So like I was helping a few people prep for a few matchups earlier on in like earlier draft seasons, and like the opponent would have Walking Wake, I'd have Donphan, and I was like trying to show. I have the Walking Wake in this because I'm the opponent and I'm helping somebody who has Donphan and they didn't know how to use it. Like in a sense, like I was trying to show them, no, bro, this matchup is possible. Let me try the team. You try the team that's fighting me. I'll try the team that I made for you. Mm-hmm. And I would use Donphan to take on Walking Wake. I just take the Hydro Steam, Endeavor up, and then Ice Shard, or I force a switch. Like it's like this thing. So I feel like Donphan is, it's a spinner, sure, but it ain't no great test, no Iron Treads. I think you should use it for the 1-for-1 trades, and I think that's going to get the most value out of it. That's personally how I think you get the most value out of Pokemon.
So you would say that Donphan counters Walking Wake? Can we put that in the title?
I would say
Donphan counters Walking Wake, Pokemon MD.
I think it can check a lot.
Yeah. No, I get you. And we've talked about that on the podcast before. I know if I was talking about a bunch of the streams, like there's something really valuable about having like emergency button mons in draft. Like shit, I mispositioned, time to not lose because I have
That's what
X.
Does,
X Pokemon that always takes it. Terapagos is so good because of that. Good because of that. Oh shit, I mispositioned. It's okay. I at least have my Terapagos.
D-Knight as well, and then you have things Pokemon of that regard. Like I like
Steelix in all gens too. It's obviously not an SV, but I run Boots Steelix with Roar all the time. All the time.
It's so good. It's so good at it, dude. Aggron as well. Like there's just mons that just they allow it. So that's what I like Donphan. And if you're using physical setup, I hate that stuff too. Like it's like, oh crap, man, Donphan's right here. I can't win with this mon. How do I position this a little bit better? But that's just the way I see that. I
do think the issue is maybe it is that it just isn't a good spinner, right? There's not a lot of good spinners in SV in general. It's Tuscan treads, right? There's not great spin in general. And it's such a common thing in these like 8-mon like super sweaty tours. Everybody has a Rotom, everybody has a Dust Noir, or like some low tier shitty viewpoint ghost, or the higher tier ones, Goldango, which might not be the best one of that in particular, but I think Petrunt spin blocks the shit out of Donphan. Doesn't even need the balloon. He just doesn't get to a KO.
I think there's like if we're being real, there's probably 4 good spinners, and then so it's like with the 2 Donphans, the Great Tuscan Treads. I think Regieleki is a good spinner because you're gonna threaten. Unless you're like what's the ghost type that walls Reggie? Bramble Gas? Okay, get to a kill by
Golurk, baby.
Right? Golurk is crazy. And then obviously Terapagos is a good spinner because of
that's another great one.
Terapagos, right? And then you have like to lesser extents you start going into like Quackable, Drill, but I don't think they're great. I think they're good Pokemon.
I think it's like an accenting piece of them. They're not spinners. Like it can. There's plenty of matchups in BBL where I was like, man, Spin Quack just doesn't get it done. These hazards are gonna be annoying. Time to throw in some boots.
No, just F it. Just like do it. Like, sometimes you just gotta fight them. Like that's just a big thing. So it was weird because I don't know. I used to think all these mons were like top 3 when Donphan went. I was like, no, but as I learned, like I said, I don't think it should be a spinner. It's just a nice ground type that's a check to a mon. It's your budget Ogerpon.
Yeah. Just boots offensive seems like the way to go a lot of the times.
Always, dude. It hits.
I brought Bandit in Scramble, and I swept with it. That was fire. I swept with Ice Shard. Got the last 3.
Nice.
That was a fire one. I don't know if that's the norm, but we got it done. Next up, though, we have DPP draft. Endless is Endless hosting it? Like it's Endless and Hacker, right?
It's Endless and Jeroni Puff. I think.
And Jeroni
I think
Puff
Hacker might also be helping, but I know it's Jeroni Puff.
Yeah, you did a stream today, obviously, with Endless. Do you want to talk a little bit about this, just to kind of shout out the tournament and stuff like that? Obviously, it's already started, so unfortunately, you can't sign up.
Yeah, so
it could be fun to watch.
Today, as we're recording this, or yesterday, as this is coming out, I did do a stream with Endless, who's the guy who wrote the DPP draft guide. So I went over like an hour and a half of like all the nitty-gritty details of DPP, what are some strong cores that are successful in the most recent tournaments, why, and just generally like how does the format really work, what makes the world go round. And it turns out it's mostly Infernape and Metagross, but
who would have thought?
There's also a lot more nuance.
I feel like D-Knight would be so good too.
Yeah,
I feel like D-Knight would be so good in DPP.
Yeah, literally anything with explosion.
That too, yeah. I heard Azelf's the truth too. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a lot of Azelf Kingdra that did really well in the most recent DPP tour. So like, there's a lot of cool stuff you can do in this format. I think it's really cool to watch. I'm not participating myself because I have a lot going on right now. But I wish I, had a clearer schedule because it does look like a fun time.
Oh yeah, Old Gen Draft is always
interested.
Yeah.
Check out the VOD. It's a lot of knowledge being spread there.
Well, and plus, if you're interested too, I know Endless. He talked about it in your VOD. He runs like a big tournament every summer. So that'll be a big one. That you always can sign up for. Yeah, it's like Distortion Draft Tournament or something like that. So they've been doing it for a while. Endless is he's pretty dedicated to it. He really likes DPP metagame. We're gonna talk a lot about Gen 3 Draft again on the next podcast in 2 weeks. That'll be the Kaz episode because World Open is starting, which is like a really, really big tournament. But I love Old Gen Draft stuff. I think it's so cool that like so many people still play these formats, or even like DPP and ADV Draft. Those weren't like formats until, probably like late Gen 7, early Gen 8, right? It's just people were like, wait, what if we just took the draft stuff and did it in the old gens, And they're pretty wacky. I don't know if I could play them like all the time, but like playing them once or twice a year in like these big tournaments, it's a really fun breath of fresh air. So I know DPP draft is pretty cool too. A lot of people like it. And like the whole lead metagame is really interesting aspect, and it's pretty cool though. So obviously you guys can check that out. I'll link this down below. Man, we have a lot of news. Only 2 more though. Okay, cool. We're actually good. All right. Next up, we have, really quick, we're going to go over it. I forgot to grab the correct picture, but we could just say who won in semifinals. GG Inc. is happening. It's a big prize pool tournament, $320. I don't know if that's the winner. No, it's not the winner. It's just the total prize pool. Yeah, we have finals upcoming. It's going to be Zazo, all-time draft great, up against Wombo in finals. Mounte, friend of the channel, friend of the podcast, fellow Wi-Fi warrior. He did really great in the tournament. I played in the tournament. He smoked me when we played. I think we played in Usum? No, we played in Gen 8. But he had a really good tournament as well. He ended up coming in third. Him and Itzio were supposed to play like a best of 3 for third place. But Itzio was quoted to say, "I'm not building 3 teams for $32. You can have the win." So congrats to Mounte for winning 32 whole bucks. Great tournament. Maybe he'll upload a video on it. That'd always be cool. I love watching Mounte content. But yeah, it'll be Zazo versus Wombo. 2 really good players. So that'll be a lot of fun to watch.
Dracovish allowed in Gen 8?
Well, no? Dracovish? Oh, yeah. It's
always.
It's pretty typically allowed, and it's not super, super common anymore, especially in like these 8-mons, because it's like a lot of teams can't fit it. Yeah.
Well, what if I just draft it last and you don't get your water absorb on? It seems like a decent mon then.
True. I mean,
so we actually tested this, right? My teammate Hunter Z Infected, who's a great player, he really wanted to use Rain in DPL Season 8, which was about a year ago, a little bit less. But
Gen 8 Rain isn't really a thing, too, by the way. I'd like to preface.
So Rain in Gen 8 has not really been a thing, but with Spectre recently banned from the league, or from the tier at least, it really opens up a lot of team comps that otherwise would just get farmed by Shadow Ball. So we actually decided to go with a Rain team with like Ferrothorn as the bulky steel. Let me see if I can pull it up.
It was like Zapdos. It was like Zapdos Ferrothorn, because I was
No.
Was it not Zapdos?
It was Thundy.
Thundy, my bad.
Yeah,
okay.
Thundy T for the Volt Absorb. Seismitoad the main Rain Abuser, and then Barraskewda as well, and Dracovish. Big boy Dracovish.
Sableye too.
13 points, and because up until this season of DPL, Dragovich had not been drafted since, was it 2019, 2020? So it's been a long time since we've seen this in a tournament setting. So it's been dropping in price a little bit to reflect that. Dropped down to 13, which is pretty reasonable for it. And it had like some decent performances. It wasn't exactly the carry of the team, but the team did really well overall. Went very positive, and yeah, it was just a good piece on the team. It wasn't exactly overbearing.
Would it have been better to have Barraskewda?
You had both.
We did have Barraskewda. We had
both. It was just like rain offense, yeah. I mean, and well,
and then
Hunter did well.
Alive for anti-BS.
The team did well in general, though, right? Like obviously Dragovich did so, but like yeah, and obviously Hunter's also a very, very good player. And the season before he did Usum Rain the season before, right? So he was like, I want to do Rain again, but I want to do it in
He did Usum Rain a while back.
Oh, it was a while ago.
It was the most recent season, but it was a while back.
Okay.
He's like, I want to use Rain again. We're like, bet. Let's do it.
Hey, when you do good enough in tournaments, you can use silly shit, and they'll be like, you're probably fine. Go ahead. If the team's bad, we'll bench it week 3. You get a couple weeks to show us it's good.
He cooked with it. He went 5-1 in Sword and Shield with that team. So, very nice performance.
Oh yeah, for sure. And then lastly, we have to shout out Sage. Soggy Doggy Sage did win the 2024 Draft Circuit Championship and did not drop a single game in the circuit, right? Correct? Or like in that last circuit, not finals.
In
like
the playoffs, yeah.
The playoffs, yeah. Which
so
is
basically
how many games?
Let me explain for the folks at home who are unfamiliar, The Circuit Championship is a big event. It's for a custom avatar prize, so it's like kind of a big deal. Maybe the biggest single... individual tournament of the year for Pokemon Draft League. And so to qualify for it, you need to do good in a bunch of qualifying tours. So Soggy Doggy Sage obviously qualified quite easily. And then in this top 16, they draft 3 teams, and then they do best of 3, top 16, 8, 4, 2, and then, eventually winning out. And she actually dropped 0 games, 2-0'd every single opponent. And hey, what can I say? Soggy Doggy Sage might be the GOAT.
Yeah, and again,
by saying that, she had a really fantastic year, right? Finals in DPL, won DCL, and then now sweeping the circuit championships. Like, what more can you ask for out of a tournament year?
And again, this is like, I always say this because it always blows my mind. I think it's fucking crazy. Sage started playing. Didn't she start playing like a year and a half ago?
2 years ago.
Yeah, like this is like very recent.
What's their full name? What's their name on Smogon? Their full name?
Soggy Doggy Sage.
Soggy Doggy Sage.
Yeah. They just recently started playing draft, and the way L5 described it, again, step in if obviously I'm incorrect or retelling the story wrong. They watched a lot of draft content like for a while, and then until just obsessively was the quote. I don't want to say it, but really liked it. Watched a lot, but never really was like, I'll play. A little over a year and a half, 2 years ago, whatever it was, we're like, I'll try it. And then was just immediately better than everybody. Just immediately better than everybody. I remember I played Sage, not this year, but last year I played her in, I want to say it was like, I think 2 of the individual tours, like in top 32. Whooped my ass both times. I remember being like, fuck, who is this dude? This is pissing me off. Like this random person I've never seen has smoked me twice in these tournament games. So really impressive.
First dropped on the scene, I was like almost convinced this has to be an alt. Who is this?
Everybody was saying that. I forget who they were saying it was an alt of. Someone who obviously
John W.
It was John W.
Yeah. Alting in draft sounds hilarious.
It happens a lot. It happens a lot. It wouldn't have been the first John W. alt. What was the other one? It was in class. Huh?
Vulcan Ice was
Vulcan, in
it was
Clash.
Actually a real person. It was a real person who gave their account to John W.
So did John just want to play twice?
He got banned.
Yeah, he was banned. So that's why people thought it was.
That's different. Like I think if you're not banned and you just want to play again.
Oh, I have heard people doing that and like
thing is super lame.
Yeah, I've heard people like alting just like wanting to play under another name if they're like, an established player or whatever, and they're like just want to go farm like a random like friends league. That used to happen back in the day when like leagues were more popular than tournaments and stuff like that, but. Yeah, not very often. Usually it's just usually it's people just sneaking in. And I remember, who was it? Zazo DM'd me. It was Scribble, because Scribble's also a newer player, right? Scribble smoked me, and I want to say like top 16 Oras last year, like Oras Cup. Yeah, they just whooped my ass, and they were, I think, newer at the time. It could have been 2 years ago in our ass. I don't know. I don't remember exactly when they started, but I got a DM from Zazo that was like, "Hey, this smells like an alt." No, they were just really good. Newer player.
Dribble,
like, huh? Yeah.
Dribble is someone that I scouted for my DCL team for season 1 for the Infernal Armory. He did really well for us for like a very cheap price, so I was very happy with that.
Yeah, and it's continued to do well. So, I mean, lots of new players this generation in general, but.
I mean, new players pop up. It's the kind of par for the course.
Oh yeah, and it's obviously been a very good gen for draft. Like Gen 8, there was no new players. it was tough.
It's super easy just to play draft on Showdown.
Oh yeah, and I think the Smogon thing was obviously great, but we'll obviously keep talking about that and things like that. But that being said, we're kind of finally done with the news. We waffled a little bit while we were going over everything, obviously. But we'll kind of jump into like the poke game interview focused session of this podcast.
Was this not the podcast?
No, this is the podcast. No, it was. But like we go over the news first and obviously talk about it. But you know, we're towards the AIM interview. You know, like where we're asking you specific questions. We had some viewer questions obviously submitted as well and things like that. So we'll jump into that. First, this is what we ask everybody every time. What is your favorite Pokemon in draft? We also usually add it on like, you know, what's your favorite Pokemon regularly on top of like, is that similar in draft? Or is it for, you know, a competitive reason? But I'm pretty sure most people know yours is Suicune, yeah? Is number one?
Suicune's my number one.
Okay.
A lot of that has to do with competitive. How well it did. My favorite draft Pokemon, probably Arboliva.
Arboliva. Big one.
I think that one is insane. Like, and honestly, yeah, that one would have been undefeated for me in what was the recent one we did?
PPL?
PPL. Yeah, that one would have been undefeated for me in PPL if it wasn't for missing Focus Blast with Screamtail versus Jay Ricky.
Man.
But to be honest though, that was I was happy to miss that Focus Blast. Like I was like, I'm good. I need my break.
Take a couple weeks off.
I get it.
When it comes to playoffs as well. Actually, when it comes to like the end of draft, I start to kind of like burn out a little bit. I'll be honest too. I feel like 8 weeks is perfect. I think 7 weeks is great too. 7 or 8 weeks is like perfect.
Shit,
after that, I just start like, yeah. After that, I'm just saying. Like after that, I was just like, yo, I'm good. So like I'll whatever tiptoe through playoffs. If I make it, I'll try hard as hell in finals. Right? I'll always try hard in finals, but to get there,
you get a second win when you're like, oh shit, this last one, no matter what, you know?
Yeah, exactly. But. Well, I was kind of relieved to see that Focus Blast miss. But I was like, oh, well, I lost. It's over. But the saddest thing about that was that my Arboliva died, and it had not died at all that entire season.
That's pretty crazy. I actually did not know that it did not die at all.
Avalugg didn't die in the BBL either, at all.
He only pulled up twice. I don't know if we can compare that.
Yeah, but he also got 6 kills. So
that's true.
It reminds me of the PPL run from Uzi. He ended up winning the league. And his aloe only died for Healing Wish.
The crazy stat for that, we talked about it when Uzi was on the podcast. How much damage did it take in that final? It ended the game at full against Jay Ricky. Somebody said in the comment, it was like over 1,000 HP total it took, damage-wise.
Sounds about right.
It ended at like full, which is crazy work. I mean, Aloe's great, right? It's solid mon for its price point. Comment section. But... I mean, 1,000 damage and ending it full is insane work. That's pretty crazy. Yeah, shout out to the best really competitive Pokemon. Obviously, we just, we kind of talked about, the end of the season burnout, things like that. How would you say your BBL season was in retrospect? Do you look back on, anything that sticks out in particular? Mons you used, how the games went, etc. How was that for you?
Darude's definitely broken. Like that's like a fact. I think you could run bulk up Spidef every week and win no matter what, provided you don't get crit. Like I'm actually so serious thinking about it. I think grass types. This just solidifies as well. Grass types are just broken with Tera. Period. Every single one has been. I had Meowscarada, which didn't Tera, but Meowscarada was really good. And then I had Hisuian Electrode, Flapple, Torterra, that all 3 could Tera, and then Arboliva, obviously, and now Zarude. Definitely nasty. I kind of wish I had drafted a little fatter. I think I really wanted the fairy because it works smart with Mewtwo, but I wouldn't have mind having like a like an Aloe. I think that's what my team would have been missing, because Gliscor into Aloe would have been so nice to bring in, kind of like Uzi did, to bring in Gals. Like Gals disappointed me this season. It would go crazy in mocks, but then in games it wouldn't be doing anything. So, and I feel like it was just harder to get it in. Gliscor was solid. Gliscor was always good. It missed a couple toxics here and there. Got crit a couple times, whatever, Mons. But definitely some games I misplayed towards the end as well, and kind of got in my head at the end. But I was also feeling burnout as well. I felt, and I mean, now that we're done with the season, I could say I think it was a little weird to have the 1 week break before the week 9, which didn't matter for a lot of the coaches.
Yeah.
And then to have to go into playoffs. Whereas I think if had the break been after week 9, right before playoffs, so we have a little refresher before we have to play our hardest games, I feel like that would have been a little bit better for us. I get.
Or even just do 8 weeks, though. Right? Because then Christmas break.
Okay, I didn't want to say that too, but yes, please 8 weeks. 8 weeks would have been great. 8 weeks would have been amazing.
So the thought process behind 9 is just it kind of lets people separate a little bit more in that playoff race, to where like certain like positive teams and things like that can miss out at 5-3 or like the 4-4, kind of like muddy waters.
Oh no. 100% dude.
But I do understand the burnout aspect of it, right? Especially if
we're like 11 weeks, bro. It felt like 11 weeks instead of 9 weeks because of the break in between.
Oh, 100%.
And then it didn't even end up being a break because we had to play week 9 into playoffs.
Yeah.
So like it was I don't know. So I would have been good with like 8 weeks. I feel like I can't join anymore 9 week. I have to do 8 week like at that. I just feel like I feel that's the limit.
Number. Yeah.
Especially if,
that one extra week feels like 10.
Yeah, it really does at times. Especially if you're doing all right throughout the season. And no, that was just a fun one overall. I definitely think I would have gotten Aloe if I could have. I think that would have helped my team a lot. Maybe I should have asked Vepsis to trade with me. A Nam kind of disappointed me throughout the season as well. A Nam plus Gouge, I expected them to do a little more. I think legitimately, I think if I got I wouldn't have gotten it early, but like Tinkaton Aloe, like legitimately just 2 standard bulky mons to pivot with Gliscor, because Gliscor was perfect. But Gliscor, if I wanted to bring it, I didn't have enough rockers. It was either Gliscor or Smeargle.
Those compact defensive cores, yeah.
Yeah, Smeargle did its thing. To be fair. I think I just didn't play on the games I brought Smeargle. I don't think I played it great, especially versus Nexus, where I could just attack and I would have won if I Tera'd. And like you can't kill me anywhere, meter beam, etc. But yeah, I think I like Enamorous more outside of Ubers, even though the fairy offensive typing is beautiful. Like into a lot of the Ubers, I think I like it more outside of Ubers because I felt like it's a little more limited there. Whereas at least in the other ones, Scarf Healing Wish is still free for the most part. It's way more free.
You felt more open to do other things with it though.
Yeah. I can get away with Calm Mind and stuff. Like its speed tier is good. Its speed tier is regular in standard draft, I think, than in Ubers too. Just because a lot of the fast as hell Ubers or even the Teras get better for it. I don't know. So I might have changed up a little bit. I love my team. Don't get me wrong. I love my team.
It's all hindsight stuff.
Yeah, just like a lot. But overall, Zarude definitely a nasty mon. Like I said, I think a lot of games I could have just said F it, we ball. I think I like low key King, and I know Owen, you also helped me mock. I low key think if I would have just built my teams right before the games and just played offense every week and just not give a damn, I think the team could have won every week. Like that's how I think this team is like one of the kind of similar to like the mock we did, Owen. Like I made your team earlier that 2, 3, 4 hours before that day in like 5 minutes, and then went to play you when I got back and was home. And I was like, yeah, this shit works. It only needs to win one game, right? That's the big thing, right? So you only need to win one game. The mock is to help you learn the matchups. But like there's certain things where I feel like you could do that, and I felt like I was kind of limited on that because like unless I want to run Smeargle as a lead, like I can't use more offensive Gliscor like I want to go to or anything. So maybe another rocker for Gliscor would have been good to enable Gliscor to sub protect toxic and do other things. Because there were some games where I wish Gliscor did need rocks. Like it had to give me rocks, and bringing Smeargle
isn't always an option.
Yeah, like that. So that was definitely something. But I did like the draft though. And I'm excited to see what my new draft does for this next league.
And that does kind of bring back a point that we brought up in previous podcasts about building different trees, which is an analogy that I'm borrowing from an Overwatch coach, Chris Tieffer. But you want your draft to be able to run HO, balance, all these different things viably. You want to have those options available.
Without stretching everything too thin. You want to be able to have... Exactly. Yeah, I get it. Yeah.
Like, if a matchup is great for HO, you want to have the tools to run HO. But if you want to have the option to run balance, it's always there, you know?
Yeah, you don't want to run Swords
teams-
Dance Rock Sky Score. Like,
Yeah.
which we talked about. Like,
I felt like
things
that was something I felt really good about with my team. Obviously, we talked about running hard stall against Dell, running hyper offense against you, running like a bunch of things like that. Like the team was very, very versatile. In
I
terms
think
of like
Pokemon's natural typings made that.
Oh yeah,
possible.
for sure.
Dialga's natural typing.
That guy was so
makes that
good.
possible
Oh my
to
gosh,
learn
that mon
what it
was
right.
the easiest Pokemon of all time to use. I've used Dialga and Paul. I've played in a lot of Ubers leagues today, and it was one. I'm not gonna lie, I knew it was good. I wasn't like, man, Dialga sucks. So I got boned, but I wasn't super juiced on using it because I'm like, oh shit, people got Mewtwo and Calyrex. This is crazy. I get Dialga, but man, that guy was good. Nothing killed it, and it killed everything. Like, what else can you ask for out of a Pokemon, right? So
No, literally.
All right, so
Also, people kept forgetting about Unnerve on Mewtwo. I should just brought Specs.
it happened like
I should've brought
three,
Specs and
happened
agility.
like three
and
times.
No, it wasn't just you either. It was everybody. It was like in my mocks, everybody forgot about Unnerve,
Mm-hmm.
and it was like, stop making my Mewtwo feel cooler than it is. I think Mewtwo's still really good as well. If I had to go back and draft a different Uber,
Pick one.
I might have drafted. Groudon.
Yeah, that guy was
It makes him,
unguardable. I mean, not it doesn't have like the same win potential as everything else because it lost Rock Polish, but it just killed. Again, same thing as like Dialga,
I'll
but
go
better.
Red Scarf every week and got 6 kills.
That's true.
That's what you did every
Okay,
week.
you just kill the ground immunity, and so like ground resist switch into Groudon. Like they all get blown up by a heat crash.
we can start to get things moving though, because we got quite a few viewer
shit, yeah.
questions to get through. All right, so this is from Clies. What's your favorite set that you've used in Gen 9 Draft League and why? Do you have anything in particular
Like sticks
that
out.
comes to mind, like some cool texts or whatever?
Favorite set in Gen 9 Draft League. I mean, it's not like it's a broken set, but I think my favorite set was probably just Trick Room, like standard Trick Room Meteor Beam DNC with min speed to like outslow like Hydrapple and stuff under Trick Room and things like that. Like that's probably one of my, because DNC is the type of mon that's just like, hey, you have a bad matchup? All right, you bring this mon. Zaza was the person who taught me that. So, like, this is your get out of a bad matchup Pokemon. But besides that, what could my favorite set?
Crazy text
Of
where you're like,
all
oh
time.
shit, this worked. You know,
I'm not.
it's weird because I
Honestly,
feel like
it's
we
tough.
run it all the time. Like you run crazy text all the time, but when you play enough drafts, it's like, oh shit, I forget what I ran. You know.
They just do whatever. Like, I was running a lot. The thing is, too, like, let's look at my P4G team. I don't think I ran any crazy techs that entire season. I think I ran the same stuff.
We don't need to.
every
We have
max
Petra
defense,
as a
Petra,
tier 2 low
Yeah,
tier.
Petra, max speed, max def, Incineroar.
Maybe you
Yeah,
could
It's
think
really
back to like I remember the Final Gambit into Copycat, Final Gambit into Copycat, Final Gambit.
Just
That
get
was
through.
really funny to see, but
that was a good one. That was a good.
that was
one.
just waffling, right?
Yeah, that was. It worked. It worked.
Just do it to do
All
it.
right. Next up, we have one from Dax here saying, my question is if you could, I like this one a lot too, and I'm not reading the first part. You can't fucking make me because I don't know what it even means.
I'll say it if you won't. Dear Joey, I'm 7 degrees of separation away from Michelle Obama, and you're number 2 on that chain. Just wanted you to know. That's how he prefaced his question. And now I'll let
We're
you
gonna
ask
read the question again. And I was like, is he saying some crazy shit? I just don't know ball. Like, what's going on, man? But the question itself is my question is if you could convince anyone in the Gen 6 Wi-Fi Draft League scene to come back and play Wi-Fi Draft in Gen 9, who would it be? I feel like I know the answer. I feel like it's everybody's answer. But I'm curious. Who would you bring back if you could pull anybody from the Gen 6 draft days and make them come play
Well,
now?
I technically can pull everybody because I've asked everybody and they said they'd do it for me if I really wanted them to, but it's going to be tough. The toughest one would be obviously A Drive because Dan has Elestrals, right? So
Yeah.
like he was like, sometimes I see stuff and I really want to do it, but I can't.
Yeah.
Miguel is probably the one that most people want back.
That's what I was thinking.
And Mega Mogwai is another guy who said, dude, I would love to do it now, but I'm just a little busy. So he really wanted to join. He would have joined SPL Season 1, but he was unfortunately busy. The other person besides that, Wolf is another person who was invited to SPL and said, dude, I would love to do it, but I'm just doing too much tournament stuff right now, so it's a little bit hard. So yeah, it's I don't know. It's obviously those three are probably the people I'd be thinking of when it comes to draft.
Probably biggest go-to ones, yeah.
But I would like Patters play draft if I really had to. Patters always did well in draft, even without like having the best competitive like experience.
Background,
yeah. So it was. I always enjoyed watching him play draft and
good energy
him doing
too.
his thing. Yeah, very, very just good guy overall. So I always enjoyed that, and yeah, it would definitely be Patters, I think, for sure. Maybe Shady back as well if he really wants to. He enjoyed it. He enjoyed the draft while he was doing it, which I'm very happy about.
Yeah,
but
and that was a ton of fun to watch. I remember being very excited about that one in particular. That was a cool season in general. Do you want to go into the next question, L5?
Yeah, this one's from Darkrai, aka Professor Shuckle. What does Pokemon think of the collaboration between Draft and Smogon? And would you ever consider signing up for a Smogon Draft tournament? Also, what are the secrets to that jawline?
We just have to sneak it in.
I think the collaboration between Draft and Smogon is good. I think Draft is a very good format, and I think Smogon has a lot of people on it, so combine the two makes natural sense. Would I ever consider signing up for a Smogon Draft tour? I'm pretty adamant against Draft on Showdown for a tour currently. That's for me playing. Not that the next question talks about SCL, and I would love drafting that. I will go really hard with that in a sec. But the reason I don't like Draft on Showdown is because it just feels like if I uploaded it, it just feels like it would be Showdown for me. And I upload every single. The difference between me and probably damn near everybody else is I upload every single day, right? And I upload probably Pokemon Showdown minimum 5 times a week, right? Like minimum 5 times a week I upload Pokemon Showdown. So if I play Draft on Pokemon Showdown, like for streaming speed draft, awesome. If it's a little event, awesome. If I get invited to an event or if I want to do something, awesome. If there's a money tour on the line, sure, I'll do this one-time thing. But the joining a whole draft league and playing it on Showdown and uploading it would just kind of feel like
a Showdown live.
I might as well, yeah, it feels like a Showdown live, or it's like, if I'm playing a tournament, why don't I just play a Smogon tournament itself? I do Draft on Wi-Fi because I love Wi-Fi battling, and it's playing homage to like me back in the day and where I started and do it. That's kind of where I continue doing Draft. I also think it looks really pretty, and
the animation,
and I like that part about it. That being said, I do like playing mocks on my phone when I'm doing nothing. So like those are really fun for people. But as of right now, I wouldn't sign up for a Smogon Draft tour. And what are the secrets to the jawline? It's just genetics, and I chewed gum in high school. That's basically it.
You heard it. Chew gum, folks.
There you go. Now, obviously,
sugar-free gum though, because don't drink like that. I would buy 3 packs of Winter Fresh a day for $1.05. Don't do all that stuff. Get some sugar-free gum if you're gonna chew gum.
All right. So next up, I'll kind of let you also talk about this one, L5, because you have a little bit more like understanding on where this started, and we talked about this a little bit on the podcast before. It won Waffler of the Week, the guy who said adding draft to SCL is like adding Unite to SCL. I think he won our favorite award that week. But this next question is from I don't feel so. Is it just Aga? Yeah, Aga. Do you think that Draft has a place in official Smogon tournaments? He's referring to this, I wouldn't say like controversy or beef, but this discussion that kind of took place back in November, where it was proposed that maybe Draft gets added to SCL as it is, affiliated with Smogon now, and it's a very growing and popular format. And there was a lot of people that were for it, and a lot of people that really pushed back on it and weren't too happy about it. Was it Lax who initially proposed this L5 or?
Yes.
Okay.
So Lax, along with Star Master, obviously you see in the screenshot on screen, but they both really enjoy Draft. They play in a bunch of the tournaments that Smogon runs on the Draft side. So and obviously Lax has been like one of the best SV Draft players in the format. He's just a great player, and so good to see him play that, and he's been enjoying it. He likes SCL. He wants the two to merge, and so there's a really nice post here explaining like the benefits, like basically explaining Draft to people who don't know what it is, because this is off the back of a really nice SCL season, from my understanding. Like it was a pretty successful tournament, and he's just saying this might be a way to make it even better. And he shows an example, which is actually my game against him in DCL2. it was a great game. He played really, really well. And yeah. So some people in the thread were very silly.
Are crazy.
yeah.
Well, I'm scrolling down as we keep going. It initially starts out with some, people who were excited, and it does kind of devolve a little bit the more you scroll down. Some of the posts. I think the one in particular, where was it? It was the one that was really silly in particular. It was Amaranth. Yeah, that was the one. But yeah, what do you think about Smogon potentially adding a draft as like a little mini slot in SCL?
I'll say that'll be the quickest way to get me to sign up for SCL again. Would be to put draft in. I would 100% do it. I talked about burnout with tournaments, but when it's a team tournament, I don't burn out. I try hard the entire time.
Same.
Right? And once I learn, I do as well as I can. So that being said, I do think it actually would be really cool in SCL because SCL is about lower tiers. I see Amaranth's thing saying it can be bewildered by the whole idea. Draft is a completely different format from regular singles play. I would literally rather have any OMs in SPL over this. That's really such an interesting thing because it was not that long ago where VGC formats were actually in official tours too. Now, maybe I say it's not that long ago, and it might have been like 8 years ago because I've been doing this forever. But VGC tournaments were in actual official Smogon tournaments. So it was really interesting because they already adopted that. And I feel like draft itself kind of adopts what Smogon's about as a whole. Smogon puts tiers where Pokemon are used based on usage, and because this tier is a lower power level, certain mons are able to be used. And it shows that you can use whatever Pokemon you want more than regular Pokemon, right? Because regular Pokemon, if anything, if you're playing in the restricted metagame, good luck pulling up with your Flabébé into a Koraidon. Maybe a skill match. Yeah, or thing like that, right? But whereas, obviously, if you're playing PU, that mon might be Shice. So you look at draft, you could do differently. Now, obviously, Smogon draft is different than Wi-Fi draft, and I've seen it's 8v8 and all that stuff too. And you said you get 2 teams and things like that too. But I think the point still stands where this also brings together a lot of what you want in a team tournament. You want a team that works together. And first off, you're drafting the team, so you work together with your team to do that. You're building the team, you do all that. I think draft kind of encompasses the whole community that having team tournaments is even about. Right, it's not just about winning; it's also building with your team, which I think is the coolest thing. Some of my favorite seasons are not the seasons where we did really well, but the seasons where my team was awesome, right? And then those seasons we usually did do pretty well. I think that there's a few really interesting comments in this one that say oh, what if one team hard counters, and that, which is a really funny one because that just means you did not build well, and that's the same thing as. Do you play a matchup in Pokemon and be like, oh, well, their team hard counter, mine couldn't do anything? Maybe you should have built better. That's just how it is. That maybe you should have drafted better. If you're saying your team hard counters the other team, that's kind of wild, in my opinion.
It might come from just a general misunderstanding of the format a bit.
Literally.
To an extent,
And then in ABR's post, I cannot tell if it's satirical, what the hell this is supposed to be. Distasteful, incongruent, and blasphemous. I like that Tony just said lame.
Very intense.
Such big words.
Very, very intense.
But my point being is I would definitely allow draft in that it's already been allowed on Smogon as is, and I think there's no reason not to try it out. It is a tier that it's a format that's been adopted by Smogon, and does that mean that other tiers should probably be added too? Maybe in general. What's wrong with change? Smogon's evolving. Smogon's getting bigger. If this is what the masses want, if this is what looks good and gets people involved with tours, I think the more the merrier. That being said, because draft has been so big this past year on Smogon, I think it would be the perfect opportunity, especially because so many big tournament players do also play in draft. So it's not like the quality of games will be bad either. I actually think draft would probably be the most fun games out of every single tier that people would enjoy watching.
They're so drastically different too. Yeah.
It would be different. It would literally be different. That's it. It would actually, that's the big thing. It would be a different thing, and I think it'd be good. And I think that you should actually care about making the game look good and fun too, because that's how the fucking game grows. People want to enjoy it.
Yeah.
Yep.
No, but yeah, I would be for it in SCL, and I've already talked to Dave as well, who is the head TD, and he's like, "Yo, if I get a draft, are you gonna play?" I'm like, "Yeah, I am." So that's just that's the one way I'd be playing it on Showdown. and I'd have to try hard as hell.
If they have draft,
very annoying.
I'll sign up as well. Maybe we'll play each other.
Hey, maybe. I mean, I already mock with like people who are already in these tours, right? Like I already mock with Dylan. I already mock all the time. Whenever Owen asks for something, and whenever someone else like Mount asks as well, I was like, oh yeah, I'll give you a mock. So it's not like it's hard. It's just playing on Showdown. So yeah, that'd be really fun. Also really do well without having to. Then again, I also like lower tiers, so it doesn't matter. I would consider draft. But yep, if they do it, I'd play. That's the big thing, and I'm all for it.
Oh yeah, it would definitely be really cool. All right, we have one final question here from Thriller saying, well, I guess we already talked about it a little bit earlier, but he said there's no spoiler in terms of what the next league is for you. But coming into a doubles draft league, are you excited to try out the new format, or do you feel like this will be any normal league that you do?
I mean, so obviously we're doing VGC for SPL Season 3. The Shekel Premier League, not SPL, Smogon Premier League. But that SPL used to be my favorite tournament on Smogon before they changed it. Basically, they made SCL SPL, but SPL used to be my favorite when it had the lower tier stuff. But I'm excited about it. I am hyped for the new format. I do think draft is draft regardless of what happens, right? So this is VGC, but I'm going to take it as draft. Like at the end of the day.
So maybe much in the building,
Yeah, a lot. Yeah, literally. I'm gonna hope that my builds are better than my opponents and that my plays reflect them. Because if I come think of, are they gonna protect? Or are they gonna do this? I'm gonna do what I think is best. This is the play that I think is gonna get me the best out of the turn. What can I do with that? And I think that's the way you build. I think the biggest curve for me is gonna be what 4 Pokemon do I bring every single time. This is why I like doubles OU, because I don't gotta think about that crap. Like yes, in doubles OU there were certain leads last generation in doubles OU where you could actually lose at preview if you led poorly into them. There were certain leads of that. And I laddered to like number 2 on the doubles OU ladder on an alt while I was in that tournament. And I was like, oh, and I learned a lot of this shit. So VGC for sure, the biggest things for me is always which 4 do I bring, but best of 3 obviously solves that, right? I'm like, oh cool, I lost this way, I'm gonna do that. When I went to a regional, I lost every game 1 and I would win 1-2. I would win 2-1. I would win 2-1. I lose every game 1 because I'm not sure what the fuck they're doing. And this was before. Obviously, I didn't have open we don't have open team sheet in this. We do have open Tera. We don't have open team sheet, but I'm sure open team sheet makes it a lot easier on figuring out. I will say open team sheet, I hate it on Showdown because it's so small and it's right there. But if you give me a printed out paper in front of me and I can read your team easily.
They give you like a printed out sheet of paper. It's got in like 7-8 different languages. It's nice and big text. It's actually, it's pretty nice. It's definitely pretty cool.
Yeah, but that's great then. I'm excited because I have to go to an event.
Oh, true. I forgot. It's big subathon ball.
But yeah, for the subathon. But I don't think it'll be any normal league either. I think it'll definitely be a challenging. No spoilers, but we did make the schedule, and I have the gauntlet. Like I actually have probably my hardest run ever in any draft. I would say. And I was like, we should change this. But I'm like, fuck it, let's just go. Like, I'll just.
Oh no, my finger slipped. I randomized it again.
No, it was literally what I was given. I was like, well, shit. Okay, this is really bad. But I'm excited because I like being the underdog. Underdog is when I do the best because I have nothing to lose, but everything to gain. So I actually really, really like that. That's like some of my favorite stuff. It's kind of harder now, but this is definitely something that makes me that way. And I'm going to try hard in this. I'm building with Tony. We're going to have a lot of fun. I love my draft. It's very, very weird. And I think that's what's going to give me Well,
because the standard drafting conventions, because it's a different format, they don't like all go out the window, but a lot of them just don't apply and other ones do apply, right? If you're playing a completely different format. So I think the really interesting thing is going to see seeing the singles players who have a lot of draft experience, their advantages in like the building aspect, right? Because a lot of the VGC players in the league, maybe they have some VGC draft experience. I actually don't know 100%, but a lot of them might not. So that preparation process might be a little bit more foreign to them. Whereas to the singles players, preparation, we get it. I got to run 15 mocks to figure out a matchup. We'll get it done. But obviously the playing is the foreign aspect, right? A lot of the singles players probably haven't played a lot of doubles. So I think that's actually like a really cool kind of like dichotomy in the league. Like it's going to lead to some really interesting games and probably some upsets that people aren't going to expect, to be honest.
Especially week 1 where it's all singles players versus all VGC players. So,
oh shit.
Yeah, week one was the only week that I asked Autumn to make that it's only singles versus VGC.
That's really cool.
it's a really good introduction for the league. So obviously, again, I had no, like, if I made the schedule, I would not have my schedule as well. I'm saying, but I did not do anything. We didn't rig the schedule except for week 1. We made sure all VGC players are playing all singles players. So it's the 10 versus 10, and it's going to be a really good time because I think it's going to be a good interaction for both. So I'm very excited to see that.
It'd be a good wake-up call for whoever loses on either side, like, oh shit, you know.
Yeah, we gotta try. Okay, this is what this is gonna be like. Exactly.
Oh yeah, that's a really cool idea. Actually, I like that a lot.
Kind of reminds me of like back in the day when draft team tours were first starting. You would have a lot of draft veterans join, and then a few random like Smogon people who've never played draft before, but they're just good at Pokemon. We got to see who's actually better at draft, like the people who are more practiced at building, but maybe not as good at playing, versus the people who like they're really solid once you get into the game lobby. And for the most part, it was draft players are better at draft.
For the initial time too, though.
But
yeah,
and now a lot of those Smogon players have continued playing in these draft tournaments, and they've gotten that those reps in like building. And so those people are now starting to become some of the top draft players as well, like Lax especially.
I was gonna say Lax is probably a good example of that, right?
In terms of those kinds of people, he's just so great.
Yeah, no, that's really cool.
That's hype. I mean, that's what happens, right? You play it enough, you're gonna get
and it's such a stimulating format too. I mean, you get that first win, or you like play that close game, you lose, you're like, shit, dude. Like I gotta keep going, I gotta keep playing, kind of thing. I mean, draft feels it's such an addictive format. Obviously, we've all been playing it for very, very long, you know. So it's definitely fun.
DPL Season 3 was the one that Blunder joined, and that guy does not play draft, let me tell you, but he's very good at Pokemon. And he was like the outlier in terms of like those early.
Immediately, didn't he go? He went 6-2, right? Yeah.
I think something like that, where it would just be Dre feeding him teams that Dre was mocking for.
It was Draw and Kaz, yeah, because Kaz always tells me about it.
Game where my paste at.
And he gets the wins.
And that was like a massive shit talk thing in playoffs with him and Halu, and then Halu ended up winning, which was like very funny for a lot of people. But yeah.
Perfect person too. But yeah, no, that's obviously, I think that's going to be a really cool aspect of SPL, is kind of like, you know, the not clashing, but like the intermingling of those two sides of the competitive community, which would be cool. Like we have one more like big topic we want to talk about before we get to game of the week, and I'll kind of condense it down because the next like couple like paragraphs in this section are kind of just all talking about it. We kind of really want to quickly talk about it, especially because on Wi-Fi, there's been like a really like crazy progression of Tera rule sets. Depending on what league you play in, depending on who you're playing with, depending on the time in the format, you know, like how long ago it was, etc. To where it's, you know, one mon can Tera, it can Tera into these 3 types, or you have these 3 mons that can do 2 types here, 3 types there. Like, really crazy ride, obviously going up into BBL, which I play a lot of Showdown stuff, so I enjoy the standard on Showdown, which is that free Tera preview. You can Tera into whatever typing you want in your Tera captain, but it is, you know, told to your opponent beforehand. With you know, Tera attacks, things like that, all the, you know, the small stuff. We kind of wanted to see what your thought was on, you know, Tera rule sets, how they've progressed, what your favorite was of them, and how you felt about like Tera preview after kind of playing that format for the first time. I know you've obviously mocked for it and stuff like that with other people, like you said, you've mocked like, you know, Gypsy, myself, people like that in like those kinds of settings, but your first time like playing a full season like that.
Bro, the first time I pulled up on Pokemon Showdown and had all the Teras, I fucking said, what is this overwhelming shit on the side and all these colors? I hated that. I was like, why do I see the mons that are not terrestrializing? I hated that.
Man, there's some people, you will play them in a Showdown League, and they will manually change all of their guys. Obviously, they can't Tera them. It makes me so mad. Whether it's like I'm watching the game like as a viewer, as a spectator, it makes me so mad. But even playing it, because I'm like, shit, can this low kicks Tera? Did I forget? Like, am I gonna lose to this?
Like, no, for sure. No. I hate that so much, dude, because I can never find the mon I'm looking for. But my favorite rule has been lower tier Tera, 100%. I think lower tier Tera is how we saw Arbalova, how we saw. I mean, obviously, low kicks is a better Tera than it is probably before. It's still considered like low, but it's still a better Tera.
It's a secondary Tera captain, right? If you have the points.
Yeah, it's a good secondary, exactly. But you know, I really liked lower tier Tera captain because we got to see mons like Rotom Fan and stuff on Wi-Fi put in work even in higher tier leagues, which I think was really cool. But I think my least favorite one was the first one we did in BBR because I think Excalibur is very stupid with Tera. Like,
yeah, there's probably some guys that probably shouldn't have had Tera in general. Regardless of the rule set.
Probably like the main one. I guess you could argue Chiempao and stuff too, like that as well. Those were definitely I don't even remember my Tera captain.
It was a spot throw. It was.
I should have made it Palafin. I should have made it Palafin for sure.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of high tier Tera just like that. Tera with Tera points is really interesting, but I think I prefer anything around the middle to low end for the most part, just because high tier Tera kind of just feels like Pokemon Showdown, which I play, like I said, every day. That being said, though, Tera Preview I think is really interesting. I do like the aspect behind it because you can have an idea of it. It could also ruin prep too if you go into it. Like when Dell pulled up with Tera Psychic Dirge, was not expecting Tera Psychic Dirge. So definitely made my Mewtwo a lot worse in that game than I would have. It was a good call overall. But the reason we weren't expecting it is because it was kind of worse into like Zarude and like all my other mons. So it was really interesting to see that. But he did it. And it walled my Mewtwo for the most part. And also gave my team a lot of trouble. But Tera Preview, Tera Points, I think obviously is a standard one. I think that's fine. I think having Tera Preview is fine. I do like assigning Tera Captains though. But I like assigning, I think the one I've liked most is 3 Tera Captains, three Teras per your Tera Captain, but without having to do your type. So like Arbalava, when I first had it, you had to do one of your types and then your other 2. So I would do grass or normal, right, as one of my Tera types for it, and then I'd pick fairy and fire most likely. But when I was able to do none of that and I could do poison, fairy, fire, I was like, oh, this is a mon now. This is a real mon. But I like that because I like that because it was another aspect of prep that you had to worry about, but it wasn't so out there that you had to really think about it. And I think, again, it's not that hard to call what your opponent's going to Tera into. And obviously at preview, you know what it is. But I still like it. No Tera preview, I think. Get your Tera Captain 3 Teras the most. That's probably been my most fun, but also because I feel like I could do the most crazy stuff with that. Whereas I don't have to be surprised if it's Tera preview and everything. But again, it's not been that bad to adjust to. It's just like, oh, okay, that's your Tera? Okay, cool. I'm gonna ignore that and just and to see what happens.
I think that the low tier Tera versus high tier Tera is an interesting thing too. We've talked about it before. Especially from a Wi-Fi viewing perspective, I've talked to a lot of people who more casually view the game, things like that. It is just more exciting too for a lot of viewers to see, like you said, the shitty low tier Pokemon go crazy, right? You see the Rotom fan, or shitty as in like not a top tier mon, not as in they are bad, but see those lower tier Pokemon really pop off and things of the sort. And something that we even kind of mentioned in this little paragraph, or people have mentioned, maybe not necessarily low tier Tera's been picking up lately, but with like the Tera point system and a lot of these Smogon tournaments, a big common trend lately has been more of these 2 like mid-tier Tera captains has been popping up a little bit more often. In mid-tier compared to like the low tier we're talking about on Wi-Fi is a little bit different. Guys like Iron Crown are like a great example.
Ceruledge.
Yeah, Ceruledge is another big one. So like not necessarily high tier Pokemon, not necessarily low tier Pokemon, but Pokemon right in the middle has actually been seeing some pretty decent success. People have been picking up mons that don't require Tera to be good in those mid tiers, but also get a lot better and are a lot more flexible. Yeah. Was it Lax actually that had like the team in DCL, or was it someone else that had like the really solid low or 2 middle tier Tera captains?
Yeah, Lax in DCL too. He had Thun-DT plus Ceruledge, which is like a really stellar like 2 mon.
Because they're both great without Tera too, or usable without Tera.
Well, they also both get so much out of Tera, and they're both not must brings. So like if one Pokemon has a great matchup, or one Pokemon has a great matchup but doesn't even need Tera to do so, then all of a sudden now you're really cooking.
Yeah.
So that sort of team style with like the high tiers like Meowscarada, which doesn't require Tera at all to function. Like I thought that kind of style was really successful, and you see a lot of people in World Cup also emulating that sort of
big
thing.
Hydrapple, they're going crazy.
Hydrapple,
I mean grass types are up a lot. That goes on, grass types are broken. Right?
Hydrapple is more of like a propaganda topic from Yurdunk mainly.
Hey, he's been smoking with it. It's Yurdunk and Genius, right? They've been smoking with it, or I don't know if Genius has been
Well,
smoking with
they're
it.
pretty good friends. Yeah, he
It was
has.
picking up in OU as well. Like,
Yeah,
I liked it a lot during the Paladin Suspect, but I liked it. I still like it right now. I think it's really tough to take down. Fairy is just, it's such a good monster.
Crazy coverage. It's so strong, or it's deceptively. I mean, not even deceptively strong. It's just strong. You know,
he's just randomly going all out. Like
that move makes me so mad.
30% of the time, it does 30 double damage is crazy.
Yeah,
like,
30% of the time I get a no drawback Draco for free, or I don't know if it's the exact base power, but still it's similar.
Yeah, you're getting a Gen 5.
It's stronger than Draco, bro. It's 160 base power.
It's stronger. Oh Jesus Christ!
Yeah,
okay, I thought it was like a little bit
160.
weaker. Yeah, yeah, it's pretty silly, but it's definitely cool to see stuff like that. In general, I think I prefer the Tera preview stuff. I like the flexibility in the builder. My favorite part about draft, like obviously I enjoy playing. It wouldn't play the game otherwise, but I do enjoy that building process and finding the answers to problems. And I think free Tera allows for that a little bit more and allows for a little bit more defensive Tera play. But I do see the allure of just kind of simple. We get these 3 types. You know what your opponent can work with, you know what you can work with, and again, you could even argue like that's even more problem solving than being able to pick any typing, because you only have 3 to pick from. Figure it out. If you don't get to go water, shit, you don't get to go water, you don't have it. So it's always a pretty interesting topic.
Like my number one thing for like free Tera preview. I mean, I have a lot of reasons why I enjoy it. I'm like the one who suggested it in the first place and tested it out initially.
Always gotta slip it in. Always gotta slip it in.
Yep, I'm the goat. Yep. Humble brag, but what I really, really like about it is the option to defensively Tera.
Yeah.
I think it's such an important thing for keeping these big offensive guys in check that, like for example, Zapdos would be so amazing. It would farm so many teams if people didn't have that consistent Tera Electric counterplay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and stuff like Urshifu Single Strike, Tera Fairy, great. You find a lot in these like Wi-Fi leagues with the low tier Teras, these set typings. You'll find that stuff like Kilowattrel, which its main strength is just spamming really strong, really fast flying moves, and people just don't have the defensive tools to answer those strong moves. They don't have a flying resist Tera. There's nothing they can do outside of maybe hope to outspeed it with a Scarfer or like max its bit of AV, but these are not like the most reliable options, right? You'd much rather be able to, I'm a little bit weak to flying this week, I'm going to run Tera Steel on my guy instead of, an offensive Tera or Tera Electric. Something like that is it's so much more freeing in the builder, I find.
Very fair.
On the other side, these offensive Teras, like,
Enam.
for example, like, Enam, Tera Fairy on that. Like, if you're going with like only 3 Tera, if you're going with only 3 Tera types that you have to choose for the entire season, most of the time they're going to be offensive Tera types, That's just how people tend to operate. And so if you only have those offensive options, it's really hard to defensively check a lot of these guys. So I really think that's one of the main things holding this meta together with these high tier Teras is the option to do all of it. And then with preview, of course, that's what makes it not incredibly favored to the Tera user in terms of like the other side has to guess what typing you are, and then if they get it wrong, they might just lose.
You need some information in general. I remember early SV draft, people were like, "All right, this is my Tera captain," and like that's all you get out of it. Which I mean, obviously I prefer Tera preview, but I gotta at least know the 3 that you're picking from. I could not imagine playing SV draft and it just randomly turns into a random type. It's so overwhelming. Yeah.
The first SV league that I played in, I had a Tera Dragonite with preview, free Tera. The most broken thing I've ever used, ever.
I actually had someone in my stream today, they're like, which Mon do you think is more broken, like free Tera Pult or free Tera D-Knight? And as broken as Pult would be with Tera in draft, dude, fucking that 2 months where D-Knight was like in like the sphere of leagues and allowed to Tera, I mean, some of the most unfun games I've ever played in my life, or most boring games I've ever watched in my life, is watching D-Knight Tera and just smoke everybody.
I
hikey think Amel should have won.
When he had the Tera D-Knight?
Yeah,
I think he should have won the whole league. I think he overcooked, and that's why he didn't. I think
a common Amel problem, unfortunately. Yeah.
But what I was going to say about D-Knight, when the Gen first dropped, DGBA, really, really big league, one of the top showdown leagues in the scene. They have like 4 divisions or something. D-Knight won 3 of them and got finals in the last one. Like, it's just a broken one.
It was really dumb.
Very silly guy.
I think D-Knight and I really want to go back to backs. I think back should never be allowed.
Backs also.
That was a very silly one. Yeah, just a stat monster. That got to shed a shitty defensive typing. Yeah, like, dude, when if you just like put your hand over like Bax's typing and you just look at him, you're like, holy shit, this guy's broken, you know? It's still solid, you know, on some teams.
It's just stronger Kyurem that can't be burnt, dude. Like,
just ridiculous Pokemon. And with priority eye shard, because why not, you know? And big broken Glaive Rush and Scale Shot.
SD set, yeah. Glaive Rush, so you don't have to miss your Scale Shot. Obviously, you like Scale Shot too sometimes because you want your, you know, your speed.
On your, on your like dice sets and stuff like that. Or you're like, dude, I mean, like SD Scale Spear is so broken. I mean, that guy's basically just Kyurem Black, but maybe even a little bit better with Tera, right? Really, really silly mon, but... in general, that's kind of going to be the discussion part. We have 2 more quick things to get to. We always like to do a game of the week. Another friend of the channel, fellow Wi-Fi warrior, Addis. Addie was on the podcast pretty early on, right? Yeah, she was on like episode like 2 or something like that.
Which was a great episode, by the way.
Yeah, really good episode. Addison's obviously a great player, someone who's dipped into both scenes, but has really been getting into the showdown scene, had some great tournaments and placements and things of the sort lately. And she's the captain of UK, right?
Yeah,
it's probably easier for Addison because she's so busy, so she don't gotta upload everything.
Every week. I've talked to her about it a bunch of times. That is exactly why, and she's gotten super into it. But now doesn't have to edit, thumbnail, things like that. And she's also a person who's like, if I do something, I'm gonna do it good. So she would put a lot of time into the videos and be like, shit, I'm burned out. So Sean's a great place for that.
This is also Addison coming off of an 8-0 undefeated DCL team record,
DCL2.
Like highest level. Undefeated in Sword and Shield, like probably consensus #1 Sword and Shield player in draft, and you know she's also great at SV, which is what the World Cup format is. It's just mono SV. So then she joins that, captaining UK with Blitz, I think, and they've been a little bit struggling actually. Their roster,
despite being one of the best on paper too.
Well, they look good on paper, but a lot of the people have been having struggles just adjusting to SV. A lot of them are old gen players, you know?
Sure, iPro, yeah.
So, iPro, Chipboard, those people. Really strong in old gens, but in SV they definitely needed some time to level up. So they find themselves in play-ins, and Addison is here playing Zidane of Latin America, and you know they're trying to win this series. At this point, I believe it is 3-1 for UK at the time of this battle, but it was a great battle.
I can see it was... Where is this?
I'm pretty sure it was 3-1 going into it.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, I guess they don't have them in order. It's just via slots.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, cool. So we're going to go ahead and watch it. Will we see a Tera Electric because there's a Zapdos? I don't think I've watched a Zapdos game the last year where the opposing Tera was not just electric to bully the Zapdos.
Well, here there's a Raging Bolt on the other side, so it's not necessarily mandatory.
I mean,
you have that.
It is really strong, though, right? Like, the electric immunity just freaking dies, right? And everything else, you know, gets smoked by a T-Bolt. I don't know. I'm curious. We'll see, though. Let's obviously see the Tera types real quick. I'll share them for you. And it's actually Tera Fairy on the Bolt, which makes sense. Doesn't look like we have another Tera here. And then it looks like it's Steel Zapdos. Oh, yeah, this is the Tera Zapdos team. Steel Zapdos and Ghost Ceruledge with... both look actually pretty strong. Most of this
all can Tera? All of them can Tera?
No. Just Zapdos Ceruledge on this side, and then only Bolt here.
Well, if it's Ghost in this one, I would say the 2 Ceruledges I would run into Z if I'm not running SD, right, to get the boost. I'd look at Scarf Poltergeist and Scarf Bitterblade into that team. Like, it looks like it's completely... I would literally run Scarf Ceruledge if I'm not running SD on this.
Like, Ghost is really strong, yeah. The stab is ridiculously strong in this matchup. So
yeah, you have the option as well of what's it called? If you're running Ghost, like you could run Shadow Claw or I guess Tera Blast if you really want it in this regard.
Just to not miss
crazy. Yeah, just get a hazard,
or if you're knocking,
and check all that. Yeah,
you gotta be careful. That's actually something interesting with like Ceruledge Meow. You have to be really careful about what you're knocking, and you're knocking a lot. Obviously, your Meowscarada. So it's something to keep in mind. Probably just in general building with this team, it might be a little awkward in certain instances.
Knowing that she's gonna be knocking, it probably does have Tera Blast then.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. Which would kind of lean to like maybe being that Scarf set. So you have options for both, but you have the reliable revenge.
No, I like Scarf a lot with Hazard in this, especially because this is their Tera, right? So you weaken it or booster. Good Tinkaton switch as well on Tera, yep. And now Tinkaton counter.
Man, this thing is so strong, yeah. We're going to go ahead and get up a Stealth Rock. Thunderbolt is not going to take this out, thankfully. Eat a Citrus Berry, which is nice. Lead Booster Bolt is just so strong. We sub up on the Thunderclap.
Love is nice.
And with an Encore, too. Goodness gracious. Okay. We're going to see the Jirachi pivot right back out here as we do see a Gigaton Hammer hit into it as it revealed. It has revealed all four. We're going to Encore again, lock this into rocks, and just click another Gigaton Hammer. I mean, this is Baby Finn, right? This doesn't want to take this hit.
This is what happens when you don't lead off a Palafin, by the way.
Very true. Very true.
Look, why is
oh my gosh, this Tinkaton has killed every Pokemon. Ivy Cudgel comes out.
Really good trip.
Yeah. Crazy work. We do just Encore here. Looks like we see a double out into the Jirachi.
But if you're switching, if you're predicting something, you probably predict you're probably predicting what?
Ceruledge too for Flash Fire.
Garchomp, that's wild.
It's
dual screen.
It's Mold Breaker too. I'm dumb. So it wouldn't matter.
You can't go edge.
So Healing Wishes immediately off of the back of a Tinkaton lead,
which we could just sack now, to get a free pivot out.
I feel like this Tinkaton got way too much off Ice Beam as well.
We're going to see a U-turn out. This is probably Rindo if it's staying in under screen. I haven't shown an item, right? It has to be.
Addison scouting for that's fine. Addison just needs chip. Look how, if it is Scarf like we were talking about, look how good Amon looks.
So Agility, is this maybe the Throw Spray set? No, it's just going to be Special in general, which isn't bad here at all. We get some helmet chip off.
Addison passive aggressively saying nice.
Yeah, that's pretty.
The benefits of playing on Showdown, yeah. Big Zapdos comes out, absolutely eats that Surf alive though.
I would have Ice Beamed, even if they Terra'd, who cares? Try to freeze.
You're not killing anyways. Yeah. We're gonna see and it also means the Ceruledge can't Terra, right? Which isn't bad.
The red card though.
And we get a defog off, so get away the hazards here on this side, which is nice. Bitterblade's gonna come out, not quite get the kill. Memento, shit, something else is coming out and setting up. We see the Weavile come out. Meowscarada pivots hard in, expecting either a knock or an SE, which also makes sense. Crash is going to come out, just straight up kill that guy. Ceruledge again, this is definitely Scarf, yeah. Okay, so Scarf picks it off, so good call.
I was thinking it might have actually been Sash, like low key. Because if the team functions around weakening Tinkaton, that could have been bad there if it was Sash. But
you see Draco pop, eats it up. Pivot out into the Zapdos
because it doesn't do crap.
It's at -2. It's not even a sack at this point.
And Zapdos Volts, which actually does damage. And if you switch now, you get smoked by move.
We could Roost here. Cudgel. Actually, don't take that much. Pretty Fish Def. Yeah, nice little U-turn. Out comes Ceruledge, and again, being Scarf, this is like just a KO every time.
Terra Blast we talked about because of the knockoff.
Yep.
Out comes this guy. We are just going to see Terra Blast again. We don't Thunderclap and pick the KO, so now the game is guaranteed over. I mean, I don't think I've seen a Tinkaton put in more work on the. I've always seen an.
I really don't think it should have put in that much.
It shouldn't have. No,
I think that was wild.
Crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. That was. And again, it wasn't like it was like because I've seen like some fun offensive SD sets on League and stuff like that. I mean, this was sub Encore Mono Gigaton. It put that bolt.
This is what happens when you don't lead off a Palafin. Like literally, what happens? Everything took 50 in the healing. If you're Ice Beam Palafin, I feel like just lead it. Chomper, just click Ice Beam.
And the offense was really strong here on Zeta's side. It's just we gave up so many resources so early on.
I mean, Addy had a great Scarf Ceruledge, especially because it wasn't Jet Punch on the Agility Mon. But it's just weird. Like if your screens, like you were screens Jirachi, but you gave up. You didn't set up with anything, and it gave up a lot of stuff. Very early to Tinkaton, which is wild. Addison just clicked the best moves. Encore, Gigaton Hammer, Encore, Gigaton Hammer, Encore, Gigaton Hammer.
Those are the best Tinkatons all the time. It's just Encore rocks and Gigaton and some random fourth. It could be Knock, it could be T-Wave, it could be...
That was strong though. That was strong. That was strong. Zetan's someone I've played in other tournaments as well.
Oh really? Smogon? Okay.
I had a draft. I believe so.
Oh shit! There you go.
I think it was. It might have been doubles. OU.
There you go. It all comes full circle, man. Back to Smogon, back to doubles. Look at that, yeah. But yeah, very good win by Addison. I mean, again, the Tinkaton went crazy. Really well positioned with the Scarf Ceruledge too, and again, good call on that. That was a definitely play. And then we have just one more thing for the week. We of course have to end it off their favorite segment, Waffler of the Week. This is going to be Sin of Wrath. And again, these are always very lighthearted. They're never anything like super, super serious. Sin of Wrath is a member of my front office. He's in L5 server as well. Really, really nice guy. Love Sin. Really, really nice guy. Helped me a ton this season in the BBL. But in L5 server today, or yesterday, he sent the message, chat, I'm cooked. Just had a physics exam and all I could think about was Big Boy Moxie Crocodile. Life of the party Quackleval when I got stuck on a question. So unfortunately, L5 is making our nice subscribers and podcast viewers just fail their high school physics exams and things like that, which I think was very funny. Nice little plug for the new song too. Moxie just came out. Again, I feel I'm very upset with myself for making no references to the songs in any of my last few games in BBL, having both of those guys there in the hook, but obviously a nice little silly one.
Not only that, right? Your semifinal or quarterfinals you swept with Moxie Crocodile. Semifinals you swept with Moxie Quackleval.
It was right there. I mean, I got like 3 comments on each. I got like 3 comments on my semis video of people being Life of the Party Quackleval. You know, like they were, and immediately under you'd have L5 going, this guy knows ball. This guy's fine. But yeah, obviously very, very fun podcast. Obviously a little bit of a long one, but I think we had some fun discussions here. Do you have anything else you want to say before we dip out here, Aim? Thank you for coming on again, by the way.
No, yeah, thank you so much for having me. Yeah, I like draft, and I'm hoping it gets added to SCL or something on Smogon. It's a lot of fun. Appreciate all the help you guys give me as well for draft, and hoping to. Well, if I get to finals, I'm gonna win, but I have to make it to finals.
Just gotta get there first.
Yeah, we'll see.
We'll lock in when we get there. It's good then.
Yeah. I'll lock in for weeks 1 to 3, and then after that,
you just gotta get in the playoff. 8 weeks, what? Go 5-0. You're good. You can bring some silly stuff the last 3 weeks.
Yeah.
I think my team is I'm bringing silly stuff every week, if I'm being completely honest.
It's the format to do it, man. I played a game on the ladder today, and it was like Gravity, Sableye, fucking Hypnosis, Valiant. I got so mad when I was playing. I was like, dude, this is gonna piss me off all season. I know it. I was not right because I saw the Sableye, and I was like, oh, it's Gravity for Groudon's pressure plates. I got it. That makes sense. It's probably like some encore stuff. Like, cool. No, I like both my guys immediately slept turn 1 or by turn 2. I was like, oh shit. And I forgot doubles is a little different. It's a little different, but it's obviously gonna be very
funny. Mm-hmm. I have a disease in VGC where I can only use Scovillain. Like, I just.
That's what he said to me as well. And like.
Unless I have a Scovillain on my team.
He just yelled. I've watched him ladder. It just randomly gets to me. He was like, it's Scovillain time. I've watched him ladder, and he just yells at the person in the game chat if they have a Pelipper on their team. He gets so mad. It's just, I hate Pelipper in all caps. And the person's like, all right, man, like, fucking pick your lead. Like, hurry up, dude. And it's just him yelling. He'll lose 3-0. He'll kill Pelipper, and he'll be fucking pumping his fist, dude. He'll be like, let's go. Like, that guy's dead.
That's why I think WOTW is superior, man. Like, you could actually have real weather wars. Like,
have some anti-rain, yeah. A little bit more, at least, you know. Especially if
you fake out and pin and fake out
plus Sunny Day Whimsicott and stuff like that, but it's just never enough. Pelipper's too broken. But like those Calyrex teams, no problem.
It also doesn't help that you're like, I'm only going to lead Koraidon, Scovillain. That's the only guys that are leading.
Almost every game. Like, Side Spicy,
and click a flame charge, baby.
Tera flame charge.
Every single game. He'll see the Pelipper and he'll still yell about it.
I have started to lead differently into rain because I just hate losing. But
it took him a while. It took him a mono 400 record.
Teams with Raging Bolt, but yeah, it's mostly just for fun. My whole point bringing that up was you can use some really crazy stuff in VGC, and I had my head in my hands one time on the ladder when I lost to an Inkay. Like, there's just some crazy stuff
good, bro. Inkay's good. You get at the trick room, and then you topsy-turvy the Intimidate mon. Yeah. Dude. I've seen that mon. That's another mon that Tony Flagon inspired me to make you do.
My hands. It's just, man.
It is such a foreign. I mean, I don't mean this in a bad way too. I'm not saying like it's gimmicky, it's cheesy, but it's just a lot more gimmicky. There's like these like fun little strats and things like that. But in singles, it's just my guy versus your guy. You're either switching or we're staying in and we're duking it out. It is a lot more simple. Like there's so much less to think about when there's not 2 mons on the field. So it's a trip trying to kind of transition over. At least it has been for me in the past, but it should be a lot of fun. But we're gonna end it off for the night again. If you guys did enjoy the podcast, be sure to drop a like, subscribe to the channel, obviously, if you're new. And yeah, we'll see you guys in a couple weeks. See ya.